Hey, Rick here. I'm back. I wanted to talk about something that's been really important in the last few weeks, actually, last month and a half, regarding new leadership. Those individuals who are in a high position over the course of their career, and they're very bright people. They're good people, great heart, great minds, many of them with a lot of initials after their names. And suddenly they become promoted and they're springboarded to an executive position like president, CEO, COO. And here's what I've encountered with regards to the executive coaching, leadership development, change management, all the words that we use. And the key is how people think, because you have to have a certain amount of confidence, courage, discernment, all these different, again, words, words, words. Everyone knows that when you step into a C-suite role, you have to be strategic. You have to focus on strategy, people, right? Your strategic growth plan, your operational considerations, efficiency, supply chain, all those different things, quality, safety first, financial covenants, sustainability, and of course, your markets, your customers, all these different things. How do you prioritize them? Now, everyone knows these conditions, these particular considerations, but just because you know your business doesn't mean necessarily that you're strategic. For example, decision making, how you aggregate information, how you partner, lead others through change, and have the ability to communicate effectively. Now, when I ask people, are you a good communicator? Yes. When I ask audiences about collaboration, effective communications, leadership, all these different words that we use, everyone raises their hands for the most part. There's a little bit of humility there, of course, but most people think they can do this. And by all measure, they can. But once again, just because you know the business or you were good in your prior functional area, whether you're in sales, marketing, or a CFO, it doesn't mean you're strategic necessarily. Now, how do you measure it? Because being strategic, by definition, has to do with your ability to see the big picture. And it starts with self awareness. You know that. It starts with perspective, what you look at, the conclusions you make about the things you look at, how you evaluate your business, your markets, your margins, right? All the different metrics that you use to grow your business. But to be strategic and to be a strategic thinker has to do with paying attention to the little things, the nuance, not the least of which is being able to lead people during conditions that are uncertain. Again, markets, all the different operational considerations. This year, like many, is a difficult year, going to be a difficult year. Now, post all the things we went through the last couple of years, you have to be agile. We always talk about precision, right? Where are you? Where are you going? Agility, how will you get there? Resilience, post execution and implementation, how will you sustain it and grow it from there? Because sustainability is not just your end strategic game plan. After execution, implementation, and sustainability, it's next level growth, right? But the key again in being strategic is being able to close the gaps, communicate, of course, effectively. What does that mean? Vision, mission, values, goals, alignment. And people just miss it because they're focused on doing, on looking at metrics and measuring sometimes the wrong thing and not paying attention. So, in short, how are you making decisions and how are you making conclusions? How do you get the information? And is it accurate information? How do you deal with your executive team? How do you manage them? How do you lead them through change? How do you conduct difficult conversations? Can you do that? Can you do it effectively? How do you know? Go back to self awareness. What's the impact you're making? Now, anyone can delegate, anyone can give directives, tell people what to do, look at a business plan, have a strategic planning meeting, sound great. And all of a sudden, you're having a next update meeting and you're talking about deficits, quotas, and numbers and different targets that were missed. Why does that happen? Once again, you've heard me say this before. Here's another nuance for you. Your metrics, your margins, your net, your EBITDA. Let's talk about margins. Your margins. Your margins represent the value of relationships. I'll say that again. Your margins represent the value of relationships. And what that means is that when you rewind 30 days prior to your P&L, P&L is very important. Run your business, make decisions, grow your business, but it's a lagging indicator, and you all know that. But 30 days prior, there were connections or non-connections. Departmentally, you got sales, marketing, operations, accounting, engineering, manufacturing, all these different functional areas and roles with great people, nice people, smart people. But maybe they're not communicating as effectively or connecting the way you need them to be. All right. So we know the words: create a team, a culture. Oh, culture transformation. That's a good one. Right? Collaboration, effective communications. But why are we discussing 30 days later metrics and margins that didn't hit the mark? It's the relationships, it's the communication, it's the greeter at the front door, it's the person who answers the phone. It's your ability as a team member to follow up, to respond to communication, email, phone calls, texts, right? Most people carry their phone right in their hand for the most part. So selective response is normal. It's necessary. You're at the airport, you're in travel mode, you're in a meeting. You've got to respond within 24 hours. If you don't, your team is dysfunctional. That's my opinion. Got 24 hours. Sometimes you do it in 3 seconds, 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 4 hours, in the evening, the next morning, but within 24 hours. Because if you don't, you're saying something. You're implying something. You're indicating something. And so as you approach your work, your decisions with positive intent, and you assume that everyone's on the same page, your leadership strategically is about aggregating all these different moving parts in a way that allows you to gather information, real information, to make these decisions about markets, customers, again, strategy. Because again, the business conditions, the mechanics and the operations piece of the business is pretty straightforward. You understand it, right? But, rewind, take a deep breath, step back, put it on paper, put it on the wall, create a flow chart. What is missing? And before you decide what's missing, look in the mirror. How are you making decisions? How are you communicating? Are you communicating effectively? If so, how do you know? Because the key in all this is being able to focus on those areas that are going to grow your business, expand your markets, improve customer service, improve your customer relationships, and not just sustain your business, but grow your business, expand your markets, right? Grow people, mentor people. Do your executives know? Here's a good one. Maybe you know how to communicate effectively and drive vision and explain the mission and define goals, short-term, long-term goals, close the gaps. Maybe you know that you do that very well. Maybe you delegate perfectly. Are you mentoring your team? Do they do the same? Do they do not so much what you do, but do they reflect your leadership? And that's why we call it conscious leadership, because you have to pay attention. You have to be able to inspire people and create alignment, the vision, mission, values, goals, right? And it begins with self-awareness. So to wrap this up, just because you know your business doesn't mean you're strategic, right? And that's not an insult. I hope it's not taken that way. The key again is to put everything out in front of you, right? And capture the essence and the spirit of where you are, where you've been, where you're going. And you've heard me say this before. It's the rule of threes, right? Where are you today? Where have you been? Where have you been? What did you learn? What were the opportunities capitalized on? Right? And where are you going? How will you get there? Right? Do that, you're closer to that alignment piece and to being strategic. Now, remember, in conclusion, strategic thinking is about many different things. Not the least, again, is about your business story, your leadership story, right? Minimizing exposure, building trust, empathy, inspiring people, celebrating small wins, identifying with complacency, attitudes, right? And once again, there's so much here. And as I conclude this, it's all about words. Words that have meaning if they're used. Otherwise, it's just air. You've heard me say that before. So I hope this is important to you, because it's a conversation I've had for the last, as I mentioned, month and a half, 2 months. And it's never ending. And that's not that I haven't had it before. And I don't know all the answers, by the way, but I do know one thing. When you as a leader, as an executive, as part of the C-suite, or maybe even the board, if you understand the big picture and you understand what the elements of strategic thinking and credibility are, by the way, they go hand in hand. It's your ability to tell that business story. Your personal brand will drive the language, the big picture, for people to capture the essence of what it is you're speaking to and what it is you're driving to, based on your ability to tell a story, a good story, a real story. And people need to buy in, right? Think of critical mass, buy in. You hit that 100th number. In other words, the minds that listen to you, your team, your employees, right? And it explodes like light, right? All of a sudden, everyone gets it. That's my definition. In my view, buy in. So go out there, conquer the world, do the best you can do. Don't forget to say your prayers and be grateful. I'll see you next time. Take care.